Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and this is it. I'm starting the drum series of videos. So people have been asking for drums, and yeah, I can't not do it any longer. I feel like I have to do the drum video. So it's going to be a three-part series. First video today, we're going to talk about gating and EQ. Next week, we're going to talk about compression, and then the week after that is what we're gonna talk about is what I call the sauce. You know, adding elements to your drums that just make them explode, make them sound bigger, all sorts of stuff, reverb, maybe even like different types of compression or saturation, stuff like that. So I'm dropping videos every Tuesday on the YouTube channel, so please be on the lookout for that. And just one more thing, and then we'll get into it, I promise. I'm so grateful. I've only been posting videos for like a month now, 5 videos. And just the love and the support and the subscribers and everything. I'm just so grateful for you guys, and thank you so much for everything that you guys have said, for watching, for whatever, like everything. Like I'm just overly grateful for it. Like I'm just blown away by the support and everybody reaching out and stuff. So thank you so much. Okay, let's dive in. So, first things first that you need to do is you need to check if your drums are phase aligned. Now, I've already done this, and there's a billion videos on how to do this. So, I'm not going to sit here and show you how to do that because that is kind of boring, to be honest. And I don't really want to do something boring. So, um, yeah, just look it up. Anyways, and down below, I'm going to be there's going to be a link to a PDF that kind of has like it's a whole cheat sheet for the whole drum series of videos. So you guys should definitely pick that up. But so basically, what we're going to start with is gates on all your drums, and so. But actually, first, what I do is I usually get like some sort of a static mix. So let's listen to the drums. They literally have nothing on them. There's no processing on them at all. And they're all at unity. So the ones that you see down here are just the triggers that I've already chosen, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. So, yeah, so let's just listen to the static drum mix. So it sounds like a mic'd up drum kit, and yeah. And I don't know what I was doing when I mic'd up the drum kit, but because the snare sounds kind of flat, and so we're definitely gonna need our trigger for this one. I've definitely done better when it comes to miking up a drum kit, but that's okay because it gives you guys a chance to learn what you would do in that situation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of move stuff around. I've already got the panning set, as you can see on the overheads and the toms and stuff, but I'm going to kind of pull stuff up and down and kind of get this drum mix sitting well, and then we'll dive into EQ or dive into the gating. Cool. So I think it's pretty good right about there. I just want to hit those levels a little kick. The overheads and the hi-hat were so loud compared to everything else that I just wanted to get that all lined out. Okay. So now let's hit up the gate. So I thought I prepped this, but apparently I didn't. So for the gate, I am going to be using Silencer from Black Salt Audio. If you guys have never used this plugin, let me just tell you, I'm kind of lazy, so so I actually want to try to find plugins that will actually help me do things faster and less work, obviously. That's kind of the definition of lazy a little bit. Anyways, this is by far one of the best gates I've ever used in my entire life, to where you can just get it going so fast and so easily. So let's start with snare top. Actually, you know what? Let's start with kick in. We'll do that one first. kick in and kick out. So let's we're just gonna solo our kick in here quick. And we got nothing because we gotta lower this threshold. And switch this to the kick preset. So that's pretty much all it takes. So we're just gonna bypass it. I mean, come on. What? Like, that was too easy. All right, so let's go to kick out and pull this threshold down. Man, that kick out sounds huge. I think this is a D6. So, I mean, just listen to... Okay, we're going to solo these two. So let's take off the silencer. Look at how much we already cleaned up. That's insane. This is an insane plugin. Okay, now let's do toms now. I'm saving snare for last because it's a little bit trickier, just so I can kind of show you guys. And we're gonna come over to this section and we'll loop it. I mean, where'd all those cymbals go? They're just gone. So we're gonna leave it there. And then we're gonna grab silencer. Okay, so there we go. We're just gonna stick with that. I may go back and adjust them if it's needed, just in case I'm listening to some other parts of the song where it needs it. And okay, so now let's get snare top here. All right, so we definitely want snare to pop out, and I'm looking for any. So luckily on this song, there's not a lot of ghost notes that he's playing that I can see. So that kind of goes to my benefit of this song, but they have this ghost note button. I'm gonna pop it on anyway. But let's just pop this on. And so it has a preset or a mode for snare top. So make sure you click snare top here, or like we had tom selected on the other ones if you didn't notice that. And let's go ahead and turn it on. Sounds okay. You know what? Let's see what a preset sounds like. We'll do snare top cleaner. It's not bad. Yeah, let's stick with that for now. And let's do snare bottom. And we're pretty much going to keep the same preset, but it does have a snare bottom mode here. So make sure you get that clicked. Yeah, so I like, so this is how much or how long it's opening up in milliseconds, and I like that. I really like the resonance of the snare bottom often, so we're gonna keep that up. Okay, so now we've got all of our gates on, and so now we are going to play it with the gates off, and then we'll play it with them on. I need to, let's just, sorry guys, I need to only select the channels that I want to use for the silencer. And I don't know, Studio One just did something really funny. Okay, cool. So, there we go. All right, let's just give this a listen. I'm gonna come to where there's some tom action here. So this is off. I'm gonna turn it on. So a lot cleaner. I need to adjust some of the snare stuff here. This needs to be a longer resonance time for sure. There we go. That's much better. And then let's check these toms. Yeah, okay. So looks like there's some softer hits there that we need to make sure. So let's pull these thresholds down just a little bit more. Yeah, so I don't actually mind having a little bit of bleed because it's all part of the drum kit. But yeah, so that was very, very fast compared to what I used to have to do, which was set all these gates and the adjustments and stuff. Whatever they're doing over at Black Salt Audio, they are making some very, very cool plugins. So now, as a simplistic point of view, what I like to do is I like to grab a Pro Q3 and just kind of throw it on each one of my tracks and pull out any frequencies I just don't like, that are kind of making it sound woofy or weird or whatever. Like pick a modifier word. I don't know, whatever. All right, so I turn this guy on. This is the kick in. And I'm just going to go super fast with these, mostly just what I feel and kind of what I know. So we're just going to take a little bit of low end out here. I usually bring it up to about 20 hertz because most of that stuff we don't need or can't even hear. So, and then we're going to come. There's always something terrible. Like it just sounds like pure cardboard here in the middle. So look at that. Already really great. And a little bit of a boost around 60. Actually, I'm going to save that for later. So really with the Pro Q, with any parametric EQ, I like to just cut stuff. Cut as many things as I can that sound terrible, but don't cut too much, right? Like still keep the, we're trying to get it to sound good. You hear that? It's something weird about 1200. So we'll pull that out just a little bit. That's probably all I'll take out of that. Let's go to the kick out. All right, and we're on kick out. Same thing here. We're just going to bring it up to about 20 hertz. And I'm not soloed on the right track, so I can't hear it. See, we don't want that. That sounds awful. I'm going to go really wide here. Yeah, so we don't want that either. There's a little bit too much clicky stuff going on there. So I know it just sounds like I just took a lot of the power away, but you'll see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's do with the two kicks. So a lot cleaner. It's gonna sit in the mix better. I know in solo it just sounds like I took a lot of the power away, but I promise you it's gonna be a lot better. All right, let's hit the snare now. Yeah. Apparently I already had stuff on here. All right, so the same thing with the snare. There's always going to be some really boxiness somewhere in between like 300 and like 600. See, this one's a little bit lower actually. And then there's going to be something funny. That's not bad. Right there, around 700. Yeah, it's already opened up that snare sound a lot. And Pro Q3 on the snare bottom here. Put this back. And the snare bottom, I actually like to bring up this about to 150, the high pass filter. Yeah, same. There's just a lot of boxiness in drums whenever they're mic'd up, especially live in that lower mid range. It's hard to escape. No. All right, we're gonna stick with that for now. So without the EQ, yeah, just cleaned up a little bit. That's all we're going for. Is just clean it up a little bit. All right, let's go to Tom 1. And we're just gonna hit this part real quick. I know you guys already love this. And what I've noticed with toms, there's always like a low mid something. So we took out some 367 here. But there's always a low mid or like a high mid, kind of a high mid, like somewhere in between like 700 and like 1200. In most toms, that just needs to be pulled out for it to just open up. So that's what I'm about to look for here. So I think it's about right there, about 787. And see, it just opens up a lot of this high end. And then with toms, we can take away some of that top end. We're just not going to need it. Sorry, I didn't realize this wasn't on the screen. Yeah, so take away, use a low pass filter. I've got it about 15.8K. And we're taking out about 860 here. And what bypass? Sounds a little woofy. We turn it back on. Sounds great. Not great, but better. All right, now Tom 2. And just in case you guys are curious what drum set this is an older Franklin drum kit. It was a drum kit before it was Franklin. What was it called? Risen. So an old Risen maple kit. So and the snare is a Black Beauty. So all high quality drums for sure. So let's hit Tom 2. Yeah, right there. And take away some of that top end. Yeah, so right now we're just trying to clean stuff up. Like this is nothing. I know this is probably not the most exciting part, but this is so necessary. It's just to come in, clean stuff up, because otherwise, whenever you go to add EQ and compression and stuff, you're just adding more of that mess, and we don't want that. So all right, let's hit the overhead. I'm gonna pan it center. And I don't really care for a ton of kick in my overheads. Just don't need it, especially when we add the sample and stuff. Just not necessary. So I'll come up to about even sometimes like 200 hertz, but we're gonna listen to how it sounds. Yeah, we're gonna leave it just under 200, I think, because I like where the snare, I like some of that low end on the snare. So let's keep listening. You hear some of that whistling sound of the cymbals and the hi-hat. We're gonna try to just find a little bit of that and pull it out. We're not gonna get super surgical right now. We might do that later if necessary. Like right there, you just hear that whistling sound. Only when it's in the hi-hat though. So let's give this yeah, it just kind of tightens everything up. It's nothing crazy. And so what I'll actually do is I'm just going to copy that over. And let's just go ahead and solo this one. Yeah, so we're just gonna stick with that for now. I again, once we add compression and add some more stuff to it, I may go back and be like, okay, I need to pull some more out. Now, hi-hat, I honestly don't use a lot of it. I only like it for having some top end on that actual hi-hat. So luckily they're playing the hi-hat right now, so let's give this a listen. And I'll turn it up just so we can hear it. But I'll pull this up to where I'm only really getting the hi-hat and like the snare. Okay, cool. So now that we've got all of the EQ going, let's just see what we've done so far, and then we will go into the additive EQ portion. So we're just going to turn all these off. So this is with the drum gates and the EQ on and off. This off. And turn it on. So just clean. Like they were just trying to clean it up. Okay. So now we're going to go into more of an additive EQ type of thing. And so what I like to do when I'm adding EQ is I like to do some sort of uh, uh, vintage EQ, some type of EQ that has flavor to it that just sounds good. And so this is like kind of my go-to is I love the SSL channel, just like most people do. And it just sounds good. So I already have some preset EQ stuff going on here. And so this is going to be for my kick bus. So basically, whenever I go to add EQ, I like to add EQ to the whole of the kick sound. And so actually, now that I'm thinking about that, we need to pull these triggers in. So I'm going to put these triggers in, and I'm just going to kind of show you how I think about triggers. I don't always do things the exact same every time. But for today, for the trigger, I am using the Frankie kick and toms from drumsampleshop.com. It's Austin Davis's drum sample kit. They have in my opinion, some of the best drum samples that you can get. They're incredible. And then I think for the snare, I don't remember what I chose. Let's go here and look. It looks like looks like I have two of his snares. I have the Queen Black Beauty, I think is what that is, the medium tuning, and then the Superphonic one. and I have them blended. I have the Superphonic down a little bit. It needs probably a little bit beefier. We'll check that out in a minute. So let's do this kick one. And I mean, come on, like what? Like, it just automatically sounds good. It's such a good sample, this Frankie kick. So let's just mix that in. Oh, I forgot I had the EQ on. Let's do that. And with samples, I literally try not to EQ too much. Like, there's a little bit here. I'm not even going to turn it on right now. I don't think it needs it. So yeah, so this EQ is off. Okay, so now let's go to our snare trigger, and just so you guys can actually hear the snare trigger, that is like the final sound that's chosen. Here, I'll mute the Superphonic. So that's just the Queen B, and then this is just the Superphonic, which is super low, like I thought. And then together, this one is not being used, so we're just gonna remove that real quick. So we're gonna gradually bring it in. Looks like it's being triggered by the toms, so let's hit that real quick. Cool, so we'll leave that there. And then toms. So, oh, and I didn't really say this, but with samples, I literally never ever try to sample replace the drums. I only try to sample blend with the original drums. There's something about having the real drums alongside the samples rather than just sample replacing. There's something about just having like the sample replacements. It doesn't sound real, doesn't sound right. It takes a lot more work for it to sound like a real drum kit. But when you blend it all together and use the samples as more of an additive feel rather than a replacement feel, it gives the whole of the drum kit just a much better live, real feeling, if that makes sense. All right, so the toms, again, I told what I said earlier, they are the Frankie toms in the Drum Sample Shop Austin Davis pack. So that is tom 1, and then I'll show you tom 2 real quick. You know, both great samples. We're gonna blend these in real quick. And there's no rule of thumb with samples. Sometimes the samples need to be louder than the original mics. Sometimes they need to be quieter. Sometimes they need to be the exact same level. You just feel it out. Like it's what does the song need? Like that's always the question that you need to ask. What does the song ultimately need? What does the drum kit ultimately need? Does it need more help with a sample? Does it not need that much help with a sample? In my opinion, all of these drums need a little bit of help with the samples. Snare more than anything. Just because I did a bad job of miking it up, and that's okay. It happens, you know, or maybe got bumped and it just got moved around, whatever. It happens. Like that's what's great about sample replacement is that you can fix things on the back end and it still sounds amazing. So, all right. So now we've got our samples kind of blended in. Let's just give it a listen here. Cool. So sounding big already, sounding fat. But yeah, so we want to do some additive EQ. And sometimes I'll even come back in and remove EQ. So right here I'm taking out, looks like 500. So I'm going to pull that back up because I don't think I need to do that. But yeah, so we are going to, if I can take this EQ off. So I'm just going to show you what I would normally do for this, just this group of kick drums. So you got the kick in, the kick out, and the kick trigger, and what I would do for additive EQ. So right now, what I typically do is somewhere around 8K, I do a boost, and somewhere around 2K, I do a boost. just to add some presence. And then if I need to, I will come down here at 60 and add a boost. But with the sample, I don't think I'll need to. So it's actually pretty subtle, but here, I'm gonna solo all the kicks here. Take it out. So it just kind of sounds flat. You kind of, and the reason that the big reason I add the 8K is and the 2K is it really makes it stick out in the mix a little bit more. With that worship kick, you want some of that top end. So, people are listening on like their phone or, a much lower audio quality system. Then you want that kick just to stick out a little bit more. So we'll hit that back in, or here, I'm going to play it with it off. And we'll put it back in. And it's not much, it's just a few dB of some top end, and that's really all you need. In my opinion, that kick is sounded awesome. Once we get some compression on it, it's gonna explode, and it's gonna be a game changer. All right, let's move over to snare. So snare sounding pretty great now with that sample, of course, because that's just how that works. Okay, with snare again. I like to add 1.5, and it looks like I'm taking away some 4K there. We don't need to do that. So yeah, with this, I don't know if you guys have noticed nowadays, but a lot of snares coming from like Bethel and other places, they're not as thick as they used to be. I still love that thick snare sound, but there's a lot more top end. So I like to add, some of that 1.5 in. It kind of like pushes it out through the mix. It's still some mid range, but we might actually go in and add some top end to this one, just because of the samples that I chose and the snare that was recorded are just a little bit there. It's just, to me, it's not enough top end probably for it to squeeze out in the mix. So let's just give this a listen real quick, and I'll insert the EQ. Okay, now EQ in. So it's not doing too much. We're adding a little bit of 200 and a little bit of 1.5. But in all honesty, I want to, you know what? That was bypassed the whole time. My bad. I was like, I feel like I didn't hear anything there. That's funny. Make sure your plugins are actually on. Okay, that's off. And now in. Yeah, see, it's still very subtle. It's not much. But honestly, I still want some more top end. So let's what do we want to use? I really like the there's a waves plugin I really like for this top end. I really like the API stuff, so we're gonna grab an API 550B, and this is what I actually like to do to get a lot of clarity out of snare. Is you take the frequency knob and you change it to 15K, the highest you can get it, and then you just kind of crank this up until it sounds great. So we're just gonna do that. Okay, so I think +6 or +4. Maybe +4. Yeah, so we're going to stick with that for now. All right, bypass. And then on. Just so much life to that snare. All right, so now we're going to go to toms. Again, SSL, 4K. We're going to pull this back in. And toms, I love to make them very meaty. Very, very meaty. So we're going to come here. So that's with the EQ line, and we're gonna add some 4.5 and some 96, which that might be adjusted. We're just gonna boost that. That's too much. So I like the sound of these toms, but I want some more. And so there's this really cool plugin called Low Control from Black Salt Audio. It's really good for kick drums. It's really good for bass guitars, anything that has low end. I love just this. There's like a smooth beefy toms. Yeah, right. There's this factory preset called beefy toms. I'll throw this on and then kind of adjust, accordingly of what it needs. So off. I mean, look at how aggressive it makes him. So I'm gonna pull this enhance down. So this is doing some compression, but really this is kind of an EQ compression type of thing. Obviously, we'll get into more compression, but yeah, just in the context of the mix, listen to these toms without it. It's just a smoother low end, but more low end, more power, which is necessary because yeah, sounds freaking good. Okay, cymbals now. Looks like I already had that on there, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do the SSL 4KE on here. And we get to do this from scratch because apparently I didn't save my signal chain on there, which is good. All right. So I usually like to start around 10K for adding top end. I'm adding 200 because it's going to make that snare thicker. So yeah, so just give that a listen on how dull it feels until we put the EQ in. And so all we're doing, we're added some 10.5, 5.2, and a little bit of 200. And that's it. Like just beefing up the snare, making sure that those cymbals kind of feel like they're on top of the frequency spectrum. Super, super easy to do. And let's go here. Cool. So now that we've got all of that, I like to actually do a little bit of bus EQ. And this is going to be it. This is going to be it for the video. So I know this was actually probably really fast. But don't worry because there's a lot more to come. There's a lot more that, there's drums is huge, right? So last thing is we're going to do a little bit of EQ on the bus just as a whole. You can do this with an analog style plugin. I like to keep it as clean as I can with the Pro Q or any parametric EQ. It doesn't really matter which one you use. Mostly because there's going to be some analog saturation. There's going to be, reverb and all this other stuff. So all of that stuff that like adds a lot of flavor is going to definitely come later. I know we've already done some of it with the SSL EQ and that API EQ that I did in the snare. But with this is kind of a general thing that I put on, is I pull out some more mid-range and add in some top end because you want your overall drums to stick out. But yeah, so we're here. I'm just going to pull this out. It's not doing much, and in all honesty, you should avoid trying to do a ton of EQ on your buses because it's just going to create problems later down the road when you want to change something in the one mic, but you've already boosted a bunch of EQ in your bus, so then you've got to change that. So that's one thing I try to avoid is do the bulk of your EQing on the individual channels, and leave your buses to compression, saturation, stuff like that. Um, I think that's it for this video today. Next week we are going to do compression part 2. Don't forget, there's a PDF down below. It's an entire cheat sheet for all 3 videos: the EQ, the compression, the sauce, everything. And please, if you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Comment down below, like what you guys got out of this. If there's any other videos, types of videos, that pertain to live worship, music mixing that you guys would like to see, please comment. Let me know. I'm creating a list. I'm trying to get a whole list ready for next year, videos I want to do. Right now I'm able to record 1 video a week, and that's it. And then last but not least, I just want to encourage you guys. I know as like Christian audio engineers, sometimes it can be hard. I worked in the secular world, doing shows and live gigs and recording bands that I necessarily didn't want to record. But God has totally given us these skills and these abilities to move his message out into the world for people who don't know him or people who have ran away from him. And there's a reason why you are so passionate about audio. There's a reason why you're so passionate about music. And so I just want to encourage you to continue using your audio skills to push into his presence and to make his name known, because that's ultimately what matters and that's what's important. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.